What is up? How are you guys doing? We are looking good today on the Gentleman Gaming Podcast. We have our guests from the Boyz joining us today. Brad, what are you thinking here? What kind of guests are these? Can you introduce these two guys for us? Why don't you start off with Sean?
Fantastically happy here because I have people in my general age category. It makes me happy that I don't have children. I'm not just talking to children. We have the adult table now. We're making Alan sit in the other room. He hasn't quite graduated all the way to the big boy table. I have Chris Courtney and Sean Kemp, long time 40K legends, men of mystery, the creator of all the goodness of terrain.
Courtney,
I really do miss. We were
Sean.
talking about it. The boys this year. We were trying to get the Swedes to show up because they want to go to a different tournament, something different every time they come in. And we were telling them the different, like this time, this is a vacation tournament. This tournament's really nice.
Yeah.
This has this, and they were like, well, we'd like to go there. We miss Mr. Kemp. We want to show up, maybe, basically surprise you at the Boyz, and then we unfortunately we do not have a Du Bois to surprise.
That's correct.
So I think I want to just go a little bit further for those who are watching, and then we're gonna weigh in with you guys. But for those who are tuning into the Gentleman Gaming Cast, whether on YouTube or on Facebook, these guys are the OGs of 40K, the Warhammer 40K Grand Tournament, Games Workshop, like veterans of the game. When I was growing up as a small kid, these were the guys that I were like, one day I want to be like them. And I played Sean Kemp with his orcs, and I was like, man, he's so good. And I just remember thinking like, oh, one day. That was back when I was a young blood. These were the OGs of the scene running the Boyz tournament, which is one of the best tournaments in the United States of America, one of the oldest running tournaments in the United States of America, if not the world, potentially. So everything that we've built, everything that the community is, these guys are some of the forefathers of that. So I just want to make sure we stress that and thank these guys. And Chris is just opening his eyes. He's like, what is going on?
I do remember my painting was so bad and yours was so good, Courtney, that I played. This is how old I played you at 2001 GT.
Oh yeah.
And I won the game and still lost in the overall to you because I think you beat me 90-10 or something in painting. So I wasn't even close in it. I'm like, didn't I just win that game? He slaughtered me. And everybody's like, yeah, man, have you seen your shit? Sorry. Like, are you okay? Like, did you finger paint that? Like, did you steal? What happened on the way from here to the tournament?
Well, you might want to paint them with regular paints instead of nail polish sometime.
Yeah, right.
Hold on, gentlemen. I think you would recognize this right here. The Dreadnought. Zero paint whatsoever. All nail polish and makeup. Thank you very much. I know so little about the game that I was literally told by someone else. This would not be a Farseer, which I've been playing as a Farseer for about a decade now. It is clearly not. And I, however, have been putting them on the board. That's how hobby-centric Brad is.
You just put two metal miniatures in front of us?
Yes.
Yeah, nice.
It's old-timey.
Do that for the old guys. I like it.
Yeah. So I think after introductions here with you guys, obviously, you guys have a lot to say. So I'm curious. Let's start off right away. So what we're doing is we're trying to get people we like in the community, people that we've known for a long time, to weigh in on their thoughts of Ninth and like what they think about the release as a whole. So why don't we kick off with just overall impressions? Why don't you go first, Sean, and then we'll ask you, Courtney. Overall impressions of Ninth. Break it down.
Sure. Yep. So I've only played 2 games, but the way I kind of view it is I look at it as 8th edition with a little bit of comp added in. You know how with the Boyz, we used to always try to enforce comp everything, and it looks like they kind of took 8, maybe comped it down a little bit. Put some of the restrictions on, things of that nature. It seems to be a very fast game, at least the few games that I've played. It seemed that both my games were against Chris. Both times the person went first had a significant advantage. Now, maybe it's because we haven't adjusted and figured out how to use some of the dynamics of playing into the later turn and so on.
Stage 2.
It also seemed that terrain needs to be a bigger part of the game. I would say, because that was the thing, even though, and Chris actually we've always tried to make these great looking tables. And part of the problem is that sometimes for line of sight blocking, they're not, because back in the day, it was just you put the train there and you couldn't see through it. Now it's actually line of sight. And so it was a case that it was very difficult to hide certain things, even though we put a lot of terrain out on the table. It still was a case that they weren't big enough pieces that you couldn't get around and couldn't get shot at. So the first turn seemed to be very devastating on both sides, especially given that everything's so fast now. And like, for example, in the second game we played, I played my speed freaks and I was able to charge assault on turn 1.
Yeah, turn 1, yeah.
So and like I said, even the first game, Chris played as AdMech, and he actually assaulted me turn 1 as well. So in that, so I don't know. That's, I guess, first initial thoughts. I actually myself, I like it better than 8th edition because I think 8th edition needed to be reined in a little bit. So I guess that's my initial thoughts on it. I was actually going to try to find the podcast you did with Ben Moley there, because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Ben actually has a fair amount of intelligence. And so I kind of usually when he says something, it's usually worth listening to. Now, yeah, granted, he tends to maybe touch people inappropriately. He will touch people inappropriately, but you got to take that.
You gotta give and take, man. Give and take.
You gotta take the good with the bad. No, that's good. Yeah. Courtney, how about you?
I'd reiterate everything that Sean said. I agree with it. They definitely, all the improvements from 8th to 9th, I'm very happy with. I mean, I guess when you go from 8 pages of rules to 30 pages, things are getting better. I don't know. I mean, I guess the biggest change for us is it's a totally different game than like we were raised on, from 3rd edition up to 7th.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about this a little bit and stuff too, where, every edition from 3rd to 7th when we started, it was like subtle changes. You couldn't assault out of rhinos, things like that. And they did big, changes like that. When they went to 8th, they threw it out the window, and it is a totally different game. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it's definitely different than we bought into originally. And I mean, I was talking to Alan about this yesterday too. I don't know. So in some parts, I feel like we got, a little bit of disservice from GW when they did that, because, all the original game we bought into was a real heavy tactical war game. And I feel like I'm playing chess a little bit more, with the objectives and, it's all about movement.
Sometimes even checkers, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It is different.
He uses that with a lot of that. Just because you basically end up trading. You go, I take the objective, and then because you took the objective, now I'm jumping over you. And now you guys have been known to run your own missions yourselves. You know what I mean? No matter what was being run in the thing. And we've talked about it a lot I really like the changes. I like what's going on with 9th edition. I think it's like 8.5 basically. It's polished 8th edition, but with mission wise, Alan's brought it up a bunch, and I brought it. I feel like we need one more thing in the missions, so that you can't just take a mission army that's straight up only I'm scoring the progressives, I'm scoring those. You're going to choose those secondaries. If you guys were going to put your own, I know it's early, it's early on and everything with games and everything, but what would you put as far as your spin on the missions? Like, what would you put? Would you put an extra piece to score? An end game, or would you just have a separate set of missions, or would you just add a mission maybe that's only end game, just so that people can't take an army that focuses on that? Like, did you have any initial reactions to what you would think you would do for your own turn?
Yeah. So actually, I had a thought that came to me just the other day. How people have the freedom to choose the secondaries. You, as a tournament organizer, you could dictate and say, look, here's the secondaries for this mission. Because basically people, as I said, there's certain secondaries that are more advantageous for certain people to choose, correct? Well, if they don't get the ability to choose that, and instead it's this other one that, they can still achieve and so on. That was just something that I had thought about that could be done. And I agree, adding something more in, but really what then you're doing is you're just kind of adding another secondary objective in that would be the same for both people, right? Or you could just do away with not having the secondaries and just have it be, straight up, old school type arrangement where this is what you need to do to win.
I wouldn't mind that at all. If we were running 5 games and maybe you didn't let the secondaries be scored twice or something, or just tell me each time. It's just right now it does seem that I get and don't get me wrong, I like it. I like what's going on with it. but I do feel like sometimes that I wouldn't be able to make my army exactly the same if I knew that I had to hold 4 objectives at the end of the game kind of thing, as opposed to just throwing my stuff on objectives right now. And then once I get to 45, I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah. I messed around. Well, I did more with 8th edition with the open war deck. I was talking to Alan a little bit about it yesterday. And what we did, I kind of stole the idea from that Legion game. I don't know if you ever played that. That's the Star Wars one.
Yep.
We would take the open war deck, and we put down 3, the objectives, 3 of the deployments, and then 3 of the twists. And you'd roll off, and whoever rolled higher got to flip one of them over, just like in that Legion game. And then the next guy would go. And so if he flipped over one of the deployments, I maybe could flip over one of the twists I really didn't want to play. And in the end, after you flip them over, you're stuck with you have 1 objective, 1 deployment, and 1 twist, and that's your mission. And if there's something when the 3 of each come up, if there's if you really hate that twist, you flip it over for your turn. You have to do priorities, and it's actually another level of strategy on coming up with a mission. And we had a lot of fun with that. And everyone I played said this was great because I didn't really want to play that deployment, so I made sure I got rid of it. And I thought it was kind of a neat way to play. Plus, some of the open war missions are a little bit. And I haven't looked at the new deck as much. I took a look at them, and a lot of them are objective based still. But there are some ones in there that are more like kill points or victory points. Yep. It's not just about going and sitting on them, throwing units to their deaths on objectives. It's more about, if the guy brings a bunch of MSU, he might be in trouble if that mission comes up. And, it's a little bit.
Courtney and I would both agree that the primary mission seems a little too stale because they're all the same. So even though some of the secondaries are absolutely impossible and you would never take, and they're kind of stagnant. And obviously they might fix the secondaries with the codexes. How are they fixing the primaries? The primaries are just like Chris said. He's like, if you go on these objectives and you just throw units on them, they die. And you just go on and throw more units and they die. It's a very different feel of the game, right? Where we were used to going to a tournament and we'd have a variety of primaries. You'd have to be a flexible army in this one in one way, but then in the next mission, you got to be flexible in a totally different way. Yeah, I think we're missing that.
Does it change that even if you just took one more per 3? You know what I mean? If you're doing a rogue trader, does it change? And this is literally me just asking on this. Does it change for you guys if you knew that at least one of them was going to be Eternal War every time? Basically you ran 2 of the regular progressives, and then one of the missions was always an end game type of mission. Would that change your army build, do you think?
I think when we used to make our missions, we had 5 missions. We'd always say, okay, do we have at least one grab the objective mission? Do we have one that's a victory point mission? Killing, you could use power levels, and one, a kill point, and then one movement, like getting in the other guy's deployment zone or grabbing an objective and holding it. And we'd always make sure we had it all. So when we looked at it and said, okay, if you brought a balanced army, if you just want to bring a static gun line, you're probably going to be screwed in a couple of these missions. If you want to bring an MSU, you might be hurting on this mission.
Yeah, and I think there's pros and cons though, Courtney. So I think one of the pros to that approach is you have to design an army list that can potentially do it all to have a good chance of winning the event. Whereas the current mission set for the primaries, you can design one list that does that primary mission very well and can execute a couple of secondaries that you pick every round. Obviously, that will expand with more secondaries and things. It doesn't look like the primaries changing as of right now. The fault with the original system, though, real quick, is that I've been to tournaments where you have that kill point game, right? And that kill point game is that big game where if you didn't bring an army list that's designed to mitigate kill points in some way, you might be screwed. But then the Gladius battle tank with 27 kill points runs into the Gladius battle tank with 27 kill points. And now the mission is a moot point anyways. Because they're never going to play kill points again, and one of them got to win there. And now their weakness is no longer a weakness because they got lucky at the event. That happens.
Yeah, I think I 100% agree with you. I don't have all game.
I don't know. I like the fact that people are kind of grabbing onto it and embracing the new stuff. But I do like the idea of I like making my army for different mission sets for different tournaments, though. I think it's like a challenge each time you're going to it. If I was going to your guys' tournament, I would literally bring a different army than maybe I just took to Nova because the missions were different, the terrain's different. But I as a player, I like that. I never had an issue with that because I think it's just one more thing. It makes you go back into the lab and basically make a new army and make different things. And maybe I get to bring units that have been sitting on the shelf for a while because they only are fast and they didn't work in kill one, take one kind of thing. So I'm a big fan of that. I don't know how you guys feel, but I don't know what you feel on that, Alan. You're willing to make a new army at the drop of a hat. So I don't know if I'm talking to the right guy on that.
I'm literally making the one right now. So I
Alan,
got no
this
problem
is a
with
real
that.
thing. Alan showed up for the Toledo tournament. He's like, "Hey Brad, I really need a list, and I want it to be Alan style list." And he's like fairly aggressive, and I'm like, "No problem, man." And I did up a couple lists, and I'm like, "Here you go, brother. Pick between these. I think they're really, really your style." And I went over with him, and he's like, "All right, I think I know what I want to do." And then he made 3 Lord of Skulls and a Disco Lord basically the day before the tournament, and painted them up and just showed up on Saturday morning with this. And I'm like,
which were none of the lists he provided. He provided like a Space Wolf and like Blood Angel's Army. I just showed up with 3 Lords of Skull. And Brad's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
I go, "Yeah, I made these.
I built them yesterday.
I don't want to take them. I painted them yesterday." And I was just like, "What?" To his credit, they looked really, really nice.
I had like so many people come up and they're like, "Hey, your army looks great." I'm like, "Well, it's 3 models, so it didn't take me too long to paint it." But what are you guys thinking about for the boys in the future with terrain now? With all these new terrain rules, how are you guys going to be using terrain? Have you thought about it at all?
Are you getting chained to a table in a basement and they're just making you make all new terrain? Is that what's going on, Courtney?
You know what? I'm not too much with it. I wonder what the guys what they're going to do for board sizes.
Yeah.
The problem is, I may have a lot of tables that are made for a 4x6 board, and you can't cram them down into the smaller board. So, and I know it's still up in the air. I know a lot of people. The 2 games we played, we definitely played in the smaller board to give it a try. But I wonder if that's going to be 100% embraced or not. And it's out there. It's up to the tournament organizers. It seems like a lot of people are playing on it now, and obviously just to try it out. I guess it's going to come down to the tournament organizers, what they want to do.
I think the big ones, you guys are a big one actually. So I think the other big ones like the ITC, Frankie Reese run frontline stuff, Adepticon and Nova, I'm pretty sure the 3 of them are in lockstep with GW missions, consistency, standardization, trying to make 40K and gaming turn into somewhat of an esport if possible. So they need to standardize and consolidate as much into corporate 40K as possible. So I think they're all on the same page, but I think everyone else is open to interpretation. Here in our local area, the new table size is very well received so far from what I've seen.
I didn't mind it. I didn't know if it had a big benefit though. I mean, it kind of hurts mobility a little bit. Like I don't think fat units mean as much.
Correct.
You literally you engage. I haven't taken a gun. This is a real thing, and I played a ton of games with this playtesting and everything else. That I haven't taken a gun over 24 inches in a long time.
There's no
because the board is basically a quarter smaller. It's almost 24% smaller board. It's so much until you actually get on the board and you start playing. You go, it doesn't sound as much. I lost 12 inches here and 4 inches there. Then you start playing on it. You're like, I am really, really close to my opponent.
Yeah.
Sean.
Ask my wife.
God damn it. He beat me to the joke. Man. I'm going to say it anyways. Sean, you're known for making little things work real well. What do you think about the smaller board size?
I thought you were gonna really attach onto the 4-inch part.
No, man, I had it all lined up and everything, and Sean he's like, nah, I know Alan's got it coming, so I'm gonna hit him with it before. But I am curious though. What are your thoughts on the board size, Sean?
Yeah, so granted, one of the things is we need to cut up some of the mats to be that size because when we played, like when I went to Chris's house,
mine.
Of course, Chris is a little. He had his taped all up and everything because that's the way Chris is. His OCD kicked in, but with me, I didn't do that. And of course, sure enough, we found that I was actually going off the table. Chris had to point it out to me.
After the game.
For those watching, Chris is like one of the most OCD guys on 40K stuff in some regard, but it leads to amazing things. Like if you see some of his Adepticon team displays, Adepticon bases, that AdMech army with those customized engraved bases, oh my God. And like all the spaceship stuff you guys have done, like whenever we go to Adepticon.
How did you get that?
Courtney, it's there?
Can you guys see it?
It's right there. Yeah, hell yeah! There you go, man.
Brain I'm making underneath it too.
That's awesome, dude.
There it is.
Yeah, all the stuff you do. I mean, even like the intricate stuff. Like if you go look at terrain at Boyz, there's like lights in some of the terrain, and they'll all be the same distance apart on the same sides. Like it'll all look consistent. The whole table is like thematic. It's amazing stuff. So that's why I asked you guys about terrain. And Courtney's like, well, I've done so much of it that we're probably just going to use what we have.
Well,
because it's not
terrain though.
The problem is, I think it was part 8th edition, kind of in 8th edition, and now so in 9th. It definitely the lack of using, I guess, for any better purpose, to say using the models. We're not using the models for anything, and I think it really affects the terrain. The models isn't. We're not using the model for line of sight. You can put down a cardboard cutout and get the same effect.
Correct.
You're not, it's not, we're not getting down there looking at the guy's eyes, stuff like that. We're not using it for arcs of fire on the weapons. And that is the biggest part, I think, that affects terrain. Because before, remember, you used to have to take your tank and point it in the direction you wanted to shoot.
Correct.
And turrets actually meant something. And terrain was okay then because all the vehicles had to be pointed the way they're going to shoot, so you could come around to the back of them, and that this.
If your side sponson wanted to shoot a certain way, then it was accessible, and your side value, armor value, was lower than your front.
Defensive way is to move around tanks and stuff like that. Was to follow them though.
Yeah.
You could do that with the old flyers and stuff.
One of my complaints on 8th and now 9th edition is this 360-degree shooting of the vehicles. It makes terrain
from
not
toes,
work as well.
from toes or fingers or banners or whatever.
I want to make a Bane blade with the guy, the commander up front sticking his finger up in the air and put it behind a huge wall and go to a GW tournament and shoot every single gun out of the guy's fingertip. But I think that hurt terrain because before, with the vehicles having to be pointed the right way and actually arcs of fire on the weapons, terrain didn't matter. Well, it mattered, but it didn't have to be like 360 encompassing. You don't need these huge walls.
Yeah, I think didn't we have 360 before 8th also a little bit. I think there was a period in time that I remember that was the worst for vehicles, where if the front armor was blocked, they got even like another bonus. Like if the armor facing your facing was
cover,
it was like counted as cover, but like the rest of the vehicle's all visible. And they can shoot you from the back left corner, but the facing you're looking at is blocked.
It would depend on your armor value.
That sucked.
Because if the front armor value was blocked or whatever.
Or the old days of, what's our friend's name? Mr. Parker, with his battle wagons so large and so close to each other that you can never see the side armor. You can only see the front 14, and they take up the whole board, so you can never go on the sides. Those were good days, too.
You could actually use obscuring in a lot of your terrain that's currently done, though. If you just
you could use a ton of obscuring.
Count as ruins. With the obscure keyword, it would still block everything behind it.
Yeah, like I wasn't surprised, Courtney, if you told me you were going to try to include like most of the new terrain rules, like put 8 pieces on the board.
John and I played on one of his tables, and it's a beautiful orc table. Massive. You guys have seen it at the tournament.
Yeah, I've seen Sean's stuff.
We had a hard time hiding stuff. I brought one wyvern and one mana core, and I couldn't hide it. I could hide one. That was and it was stuff everywhere. And
I would definitely do, if you just basically put the obscure count as, you know what I mean? Because what we do right now, because there's, and I do like it though, because I like the fact that terrain actually has actual effects now. So things you can do.
Physical rules.
So, but we literally, I write down each game. I just put cards. I'll write, when I say cards, I'm not that fancy. I literally rip up notebook paper and put what each piece is. So you know that it's, the base doesn't count. It's this. It's the whatever. So you have it.
Just have Sparks put it in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's true.
Sparks doesn't do anything for Brad anymore. He's abandoned.
I know.
He's abandoned.
He's abandoned me.
Yeah.
He's a deadbeat dad.
So back to our event. So actually, Brian Horton. I don't know if you guys know him or not. He's kind of taken on a big role because basically we got old and we just don't want to do it. As far as doing the judging and all that stuff, and it's a lot of work. I mean, so I've scaled back, and I'm kind of like the money guy. I handle the paying the stuff and things in, and Chris is taking on whatever roles he wants to do.
Chris just plays Game of Thrones in the corner of the room with close friends.
Great game.
But Brian, and that was one of the things. Like even for 8th edition, Brian was like, "Well, we really need to adjust the terrain tables," and he likes a lot of terrain. So I'm sure that for granted, we're not doing it this November, but we've already reserved it for the following year. And I'm sure that there's going to be some pretty significant discussions about what we're going to do for the tables with terrain.
And you guys are actually going to be lucky to have plenty of time to figure out how you want to do it. You're going to see other people do it probably before.
Correct.
So.
Yeah.
I worry about what happened with the mountaintop resort. How did we get? Do I have to apologize? Was that my fault fighting bears and stuff?
No.
Did I get us thrown out?
No, well, probably, but no.
Sean drank too much beer.
Yeah, well, it was a case that new owners bought it and significantly increased the pricing.
Which I'm not surprised, because that was probably the best venue of all time for any 40K event ever.
Yeah.
Like outside of the fact that you're near a beach on SoCal, because SoCal you are actually really close to a beach, but that place was just beautiful. Like breathtaking.
And it always seemed to snow too. The first couple of years we were there's that huge snowstorm that happened that weekend. I remember Gagno got in that car accident the one year driving.
Yes.
Yeah, good thing he's okay. Jeez.
Yeah.
I think it was multiple people actually that year.
Dude, we actually it looked like an action movie the one year because they were shutting down the turnpike as we were driving. Like everything behind us kept getting shot back. We were with Willingham was in. And in Willingham style, he's like, we should stop and eat. And they're like, Willingham, look behind us. It looks like we're going to get killed in the apocalypse. Like, we need to keep driving.
Yeah, but Willingham,
movie right now.
but that was back in the days where Willingham was kind of fat and he was much more into eating. Now he's like all in shape and stuff and like looking like a sexy goaltender over there.
Yeah,
shout out to Johnny Boy. What a delicious piece of roast beef that guy is. So guys, new question, new topic. We talked about what we liked. We talked about Courtney's idea about the cards where you can flip them over, veto certain aspects of a mission or deployment, create something more custom. We talked about terrain. What do you guys think maybe was something you were expecting out of 9th edition, a missed opportunity, something you were hoping GW would deliver on and didn't? It could be rules, it could be codexes, it could be armies, it could be anything you think. Or you could say, I don't think they missed on anything I was thinking about. It's fine. Why don't you go first, Sean? Because Courtney looks like he's in deep thought.
I mean,
I got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, well, see, and to be honest, I guess I don't have that much. But I, like I said, I don't need that much. Like I said,
he makes
I
it
am
work,
very
ladies.
happy that they did scale back from the level that 8th edition had gotten to. I mean, you know us. I mean, we're old hobbyists now, hobby gamers, and we tend to like to take armies or build our armies of like with Highlander type lists, right, where there's no duplication. Like when we went to Nova, we went and we play in the Long War doubles, and that's usually what it is. Is like I took last year we went. I think we took my orcs and I did my Highlander list where I did duplicate. I had 2 squads of orc boys, but other than that, nothing else was duplicated.
Ridiculous.
And then, but yeah, we did pretty well.
Cheater! How dare you run 2 squads of orcs?
So I guess that's the thing that so like that. I liked how what they did with the command points, and that now you can't maximize them for advantage, like by taking extra battalions.
Yeah, CP is now a currency in which you build your army, not a reward from how you build your army.
Right.
So
yeah, no, I thought that was a very smart idea. I did enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, I guess it missed opportunities. I don't know. Based on the little bit that I played, one of the things is, and I'd like to see, and I don't know if it's still around, prepared positions, the stratagem. I think that could go pretty far if they brought that back. If it's not there, and I apologize for not knowing whether it's there or not. But I could see if it as if it was dense cover, so it's -1 to hit, as opposed to the +1 to your save.
Yeah.
I think that could go pretty far for the alpha strike type armies. Now I think you guys were saying how you guys are at stage 4 and 5. Of the game where it's not so much about doing anything the first few turns and waiting to go through. And to be honest, that one of the army lists I had been toying with was an orc list that was just a bunch of orc boys and mech guns and putting a whole bunch in reserve. Like
nice.
a lot of the units like the tank bustas and smashy guns, you could put them in strategic reserve and bring them on. I think
Dreadnought with the kill cells.
I think they're a steal, for one command point. You can put 2 units of them in there with, so you got the 5 guys coming in with the 2 bomb squigs. That's,
Tank hammers. Tank hammers
well,
in
you can
9th
have
edition.
one.
Tank hammers in 9th edition are going to be a big deal, Sean. Put them in every list you make. They're fun. Mortal wounds.
Well,
Mortal wounds are huge. Mortal wounds are so big in the edition.
Ramshackle charge, baby. Rock it out. There's so orcs are, people were complaining because they're, oh no, blast weapons. No. Orcs are in a great spot. They did nothing.
They don't care.
By the way, blast weapons still my thing. If you put blast weapons in the vehicles, total trap. It's a trap. Get Admiral Akbar out here. Because you can then touch the tank. You can't shoot anymore.
Yeah.
Courtney, missed opportunities from you?
I don't know if it's so much a 9th edition rulebook thing. I guess, as far as things that are bugging me, it would be, I want to see dice come back into the game. I feel like they're not in the game anymore. We sit down to play people, and can't tell you how many times my opponent says to me, well, I hit you on 2s, I reroll 1s, I'm going to wound you on 2s, and I reroll 1s. But we've actually said to people, you don't have to roll your dice, just tell me how many shots you got. Back in the day when we started playing, we played, from 3rd to 7th. I mean, that's not so much 7th, but 3rd up. Nobody hit on a 2 unless you were a Phoenix Lord or an Avatar. And there was no rerolls in the games unless your weapons were twin linked or you got guide off or like hatred hand to hand.
Couple key rules. Not like everyone and their mother like read the book of rerolling.
Right, I mean, we at Adepticon, I don't know if it was last year or year before, a guy had 2 of those relic dreadnoughts with 16 shots out of them. With your boy Gilliman saying in the middle, and he actually said to us, he was, I have 16 shots with each one of these. They hit on 2s. They're going to wound you on 2s. I reroll 1s to hit, reroll 1s to wound. I just said to him, don't roll your dice. It's a waste of time. Just tell me where you're shooting at, and I will make 16 armor saves if I get them. And he thought about it, and he's like, you're right. It is. And there's so many units like that. And I feel like the 2 wound thing that they're doing right now in the Marines, it's almost like escalation because the amount of firepower coming out of some of these units, even some single models, is through the roof.
Yeah, it's like
you
got 2 wounds. Congrats.
Yeah,
it's like how we raised the minimum wage, but like you look at inflation over the last 25 years, you're like, congrats.
Yeah, that didn't exist 10 years ago. You know what I mean? There was no unit that you could sit on. I got 120 shots out of this unit, and for 2 points, I'm going to do it again. I'm like, holy, Jesus.
Yeah.
We're going to go into a Brad idea on that.
Or if they're flash kits, you roll a 6.
Well, what would you think about if a character, instead of having auras, could do like he used to do when he joined people, and basically only affect one
taking
unit
it back.
And it would
taking
fix
it
all
back.
these character sniping problems too.
No, you don't even.
That's back to 7th and below editions.
Yeah,
or characters
but you don't.
joined a unit and affected that unit.
I don't think you need that though. I think with Sigmar, they have a lot of the math figured out there. There isn't very many rerolls. There's very few things that hit on 2s. There's so much in the game that hits on 4s and needs 5s to wound or 6s to wound even potentially. I think it's much more balanced. I agree with you, Courtney. I think you're right, 100% right. Dice are less of an impact, and with 9th, they could have made a big change. They could have took out rerolls completely.
Yeah. I mean, I know twin weapons were back in the day.
But they were few. There was few. There was only some twin link weapons. There wasn't like a dude who stood here and your whole army now is twin linked and rerolling wounds.
Or somebody could join a squad. That was about the only way that you got it though. You could do that. It's not a big deal if you could reroll something if one unit can do it. That's it.
Well, to feed off that, Age of Sigmar, they have the command abilities, right? The heroes, they have the command ability that they can, spend the point to have that ability active. Like if they want to make that unit -1 to hit, or whatever the case may be, do something like that instead of aura abilities. Have it that the character has the ability to give a unit, +1 to hit or reroll 1s.
Yeah.
Do we get a bonus person?
Between the crazy dice and the amount of firepower, my God, these units are just getting wiped off the board quick.
Yeah,
it's very hard to have anyone stay. If you want to get rid of something, you can do it.
So I don't know where my salty logo is right now on my overlay because you guys are all watching Skype, but we're doing a nice overlay where I have this salty animation that goes on Brad.
It's literally always on me.
There it is. It is on you. So we're good. All right, so I'm putting it on now. I'm putting it on now, by the way. So you guys, when you guys watch the live stream, you'll see it. And the funny part about this is, like, I know, not through Brad, but I know in general that the game is going to go in that direction. the direction you guys are talking about is where the game is going to go. It's going to go with the commander saying, hey, that one unit gets rerolls, and auras are going to slowly go away. And I think Brad's over there like having to stay quiet and can't say anything about
I would definitely
it.
stay quiet to all things. But,
Yeah, right.
I do.
He is.
I do
He's not going to say anything, dude. He's terrified. He's so terrified. I told you guys last night. He's literally suckling from the teat. He's not gonna do anything, dude.
I do have a thing for you guys because you
I will
guys have done
stab
it
you.
before, as far as the different compositions and stuff like this. And I feel, and this is how I know. One, I've been shamed into getting better painted stuff, so I actually have a full Salamanders army that's like 100% Salamander colors, only can be used as that. The other thing is, I'm actually really nostalgic. I don't know if I'm looking at rose-colored glasses, but I liked when I didn't have Forge World and I only had my Codex.
Boo. Forge World's amazing.
I like single armies, man.
We used
I don't
Get off my.
And I used to love that.
Get off my Forge World.
From a 1. If you want to show up with 1, that's great. If the guy shows up with 3, maybe not so much.
It seemed I like the fact that certain armies did certain things and they added efficiency, but they were really good at this. They were really good at assault armies, but maybe didn't have shots, or this army was shooty and didn't have this. And that was fine because you matched up and you had to use your generalmanship, your tactics.
Yep.
Sean and I are playing, and I have a shooty army, and he has an assault army. Now I have to try to screen out, and he has to get to me, and that's how those armies played. Now everybody is shooty, everybody is assaulty, everybody, just everybody just takes this unit from Forge World or this whatever, or allies in this, and just goes, yeah, I had a weakness in my army, but I don't have it anymore.
You try going to the Tuesday night meeting at the Tau Conference Center and saying, hey guys, we're assaulty, I swear. Let's do it. Just fucking get their asses beat, bro.
They can never punch anybody.
I kind of like the fact, actually, I'm gonna take the opposite opinion here, and I'm curious what our guests think. But I don't like when the game was so like linear like that. Like you play this race for that reason, this race for that reason. Here's why. The premise behind why I don't like that is I think people associate races to like what they personally like. Like I personally like orcs. I personally like Necrons. I personally like Khorne. Those are like my 3 favorite thematic, like fluff-based armies, right? I love that the Night King is coming back. I love Necrons, their battle with the old ones. I love that story. I love Angron and Khorne and the Blood God and all that kind of stuff too. And orcs are orcs. They're just amazing. They make things work just by thinking they work in a collective group. I mean, that's the funniest thing in the world. So I would hate that if I was pigeonholed into playing orcs one way. Like when 8th edition orcs came out and I could make an orc list that shot better than Tau, that was awesome. That was so much fun. Like for me, that was a lot of fun. And it would suck if I can't do that with the army I want to play. I don't want to play Tau. Tau's boring. They're lame. They look stupid.
When was the last time you saw an assault tier? I have a Tyranid army. Sean's played against it. It's no guns. I have no guns in the army. Everything is hand to hand, and you come and get you, and I'll get my ass kicked every game. But man, it feels right.
Yeah, Tyranids do feel right as assaulty.
When was the last time you played a Tyranid army that every single unit wasn't just shooting the living crap out of you?
4th edition. 4th edition.
Carnifex
Carnifex run up with Gene Stealers on the sides with Hormagaunts in between. There was a small period of the Turvigon reign, which they do have guns, but they're like joke guns. Like
but
it was more about a swarm army.
I think at the end of 4th, you still.
But Courtney's right though.
Where you have
Courtney's right though. With Tyranid's a good example.
The big bugs with guns though.
But Tyranids kill me on that fact because I put down that list, and my opponent will be like, "That's awesome." I got the Screamer Fex. I got the hand-to-hand winged hive timer, no guns.
The big Harridual from Forge World. That thing's awesome.
Termagants. I got that thing. And it was so much fun, but I just get mowed off the board.
Yeah, but my point is though. Okay, here's my point though. My point is that's wrong. I think Tyranids should be both a shooty and assault build. They should have different builds or be able to do something in between, but not as good as they could if they went one or the other. But something in between that's like a middle ground. Like kind of not jack of all trades, master of none. What's up, Brad?
My thing is that it should everyone be able to do everything.
I mean, I would personally like that. I think that's cool because you could pick the race you like from a thematic perspective. Because not everyone's like me. Some people buy one army and play one army for a very long time. So people don't buy, whatever they.
Sometimes I get an army, and the reason I got the army though was because of the way I played. I played World Eaters for a really long time, and I really liked the fact that they weren't shooting it up and that they had to assault. And I
Bro,
mean, maybe I'm just an old idiot. But I have no idea what I'm
let's
talking
be
about.
let's be serious right now, Brad. You play whatever is the most broken shit in the world,
Oh,
and you just
I'm a
rotate from
bandwagon
broken A to
motherfucker. I
broken
just know
B to
all
broken
the fluff.
C, and whatever it
I can
is,
tell
that's
you
what you're
all the
playing.
stories about all
Yeah.
the fluff, but I
Yeah.
will be wearing whatever hat for whatever particular army is the best right now.
It still eats you inside that you didn't have the best designed army at LVO. You're slowly just eating. Your soul is just being devoured.
That's why I lost a tiebreaker. It's bullshit.
Kemp understands what I'm talking about with his orcs. We don't want to lose our diversity.
Yeah.
He's like,
So
yeah.
I think we're always a diverse army, though.
Orcs? Oh yeah, orcs have always been diverse.
He shot the living hell out of me in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, granted, it was
Daka Mordaka he rolled so many sixes, he was killing me.
Yeah.
So I took one unit of mech guns, smashy guns. Granted, there was 4 of them in there, but yeah, it was amazing how many 6s I was rolling with them.
Yeah.
And,
Your warlord came up with his little melta-gun and rolled 3 6s or something stupid, didn't he?
Oh yeah, my Death Killer War Trike.
Nice. Death Killer War Trike. So give us. We usually do another skit, right? We talked about 9th a little bit. We got some reactions. Overall, I think both of you guys are fairly positive. I agree with you, Courtney, on the missed opportunity with trying to get dice back into the game and making it more of a game, less of a mathematical problem that you can solve in Excel. But
I think dice are too important too. It's just you can do so much damage so quickly.
Yeah.
That's granted in the old editions, right? You have your one last cannon that gets the one shot, and hey, if it failed, and so on. Now it seems like there's so many last cannons. So if you want something gone, it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
Like most times that can happen. So I don't know. I mean, it's just the number of shots have increased. I mean, maybe it's not a bad thing, but I think with the changes maybe that they're doing to increase wounds and so on, will mitigate some of that.
Yeah, it feels like they're doing it because it's like an escalation thing. They might have said, well, everything's getting mowed down so quickly. We need to start throwing some wounds at these.
It possibly can be, yeah.
But let's not go back to the end of 7th where everything was unkillable, though. And it was all Death Stars that had 2+ rerollable involved.
That's super bad. Don't go there.
Couldn't hit them unless it's a 6. That was by far my least favorite time in 40K.
What is your experience, guys, in the past when you have a unit that needs to kill a vehicle and there's a single melta-gun? What typically happens?
Yeah, right.
It's always gonna miss, dude. It always misses, man. I feel like if you have one melta-gun in a unit, it just misses all the time. You have 2, they both hit. Like,
yeah. It would just be nice that
I love Courtney. Yeah, right.
We're really chapter masters, Phoenix Lords, and the rerolls are killing me. Yeah.
Oh man, that's good. So another thing we do on the cast, which I definitely want to do with you guys, is a little bit different than some of our other episodes in season 1, which is the reactions to 9th, which we may come back to. But what I would like to go to is stories. Me and Brad tell a ton of stories, ETC stories, Adepticon stories, LVO stories, and I'm positive that there has to be some good The Boys stories. And Sean, feel free if you want to tell an ETC story because you are one of the ETC guys. So I'd like to get a story from each one of you. And I don't know if you have one at the top of your mind. Does either one of you do? I'll pass it on.
Which one I'm going to tell, Sean? Well,
go, Courtney. You're up.
Those Ohio guys at Adepticon, our last game playing the Grey Knights. Who were we against? We were against the Toledo guys, right?
Oh yeah.
What guys?
Best game ever.
Oh, yeah.
Brad wasn't there. Yeah, go ahead.
Brad wasn't there.
Okay, I walked up to this game. I will give mine after. Yes.
So it was we were on one of the top tables, and we pull up and we were playing Grey Knights against Grey Knights too, if I remember right.
Yep.
And we pull up our old buddies here, and it's it was Sean and I, and on the other table was Hoban and was Woodcock. Was Woodcock?
Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Splinter.
And Splinter, yep. So, and who do we had?
We faced Muchler and.
Oh, so good. It's getting so good. Keep it going.
You had Valley on your side because this is when I walked up to your guys' table.
Yeah, and Sparks was on the other table, and I can't remember who we had.
With Willingham.
With Willingham.
So good.
And Sean and I, we look at these guys, and we set up our armies, and you could tell everyone was going to pussyfoot around. It was one of those like kill point missions where you get
How late was this? How late was this at Adepticon? This was pretty late, last game, right?
Game.
So were you guys smashed?
Yeah, I think I don't know if we were on the top. We were like in table 2.
We were up there. We ended up coming in third.
And this was back when all games were on Saturday. So this is a long day.
Yes.
Did you have any alcoholic beverages during this day?
We're
Oh God.
one drink per turn. And they when they looked at each other, like, no, and I remember Sparks were trying to get those guys to do it too. They wouldn't agree to it at the other table, but we got our guys to do it. And we look at Sean and I look at each other. We look at him. We're like, we're going into reserves, and we start drinking. So we made him start drinking right at the bat. We got so tanked, I couldn't drink anymore. I pussied out, and Sean was taking. I was about to fall over.
Sean never stops. He's a beast.
Well,
He's a
I
legend.
did the drinking so Chris could do the playing.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Self-sacrifice, my friend.
I knew you guys were going to winning so big on that.
He had a crowd around us because we were laughing, had so much fun, and the Sparks and the guys on the other table were so miserable. And at the end of the game, we slaughtered each other, and we ended up winning our game. And Sparks, I think, won the other game, and their score was like 1-0.
Oh God!
And never did anything on their game, and we slaughtered each other. And I remember like one big epic moment. Sean wanted to take his Storm Raven, which had the Dreadnought attached to it, filled with Terminators. And I think it had something else in like a Librarian. And round 1, he wanted to go park it on an objective. I'm like, you big pansy, what are you doing? You want to hold till the end of the game, ram it down their throat, right? So he's like, okay, and he puts it right in the middle, and they come out and they shot everything at the Storm Raven, and they were so happy. They're blown, their weapon destroyed, and then finally they roll, and they got 4 weapon destroyeds on one set of rolls, and they're all jumping up and down. And Sean and I just look at it and we're like, it's got 4 missiles left. We're like, what? And it lived, and Sean comes out of this Storm Raven with the Dreadnought and all the
just nukes some stuff.
Start wrecking, and this thing's smoking. It's like, it's weaponless. It's all dicked up, and it was But we had so much fun that game, and the guys next to us were so miserable because they didn't drink.
I can concur on this.
Learn about winning.
I literally walked up and I saw that game and I was like, ooh, that game looks miserable. Then I walk over to your guys' table and I walk over and Brandon looks over and I go, hey man, how's the game going? He's like, we're doing shots. Woo! And he's just, I go, hey man, is it your turn right now? He's like, probably. It just like wanders off. I'm like, I don't think these guys are going to win this one.
So many times, like, you don't have the guts to assault that. We were doing it. Every gauntlet that got thrown down got picked up. Every line in the same that was drawn got walked over. And
it was fantastic.
The best part of this whole thing is I'm picturing Greg Sparks' face and his level of disappointment and his teammates not trying to win the game. Like, because Greg is just like so anal about it probably at that time in his life that he was probably super mad. He probably was just complaining the entire time.
Over, Courtney's literally moving models and like everybody else is just literally just blasted out.
I think this game, Brad, I think this game.
John does, so he had to do most of drinking.
I don't doubt that for a second, Brad. I think this game got you on the team. I literally believe that this game got you on the team. Like,
no. I took a year off.
Oh, you took a year off. Okay.
This was the Pete year where Pete wanted to come back, and we placated him by having me play with him on a alternate team. I was the sacrificial lamb.
Deflection.
Team Toledo.
Deflection
yes.
for Pete.
I got sent to the altar of the gods to be.
I heard Pete's coming to ATC next year, right?
Well,
that's a joke.
Butler actually had made the final 16 of the championship because that was they had the champ singles and then you did the doubles and then they had the championship the following day.
Yeah.
So I remember Butler had to get up at like 5 a.m. to go down and
to play 4 rounds on Sunday. Yeah, that's crazy.
But he lost the first round and dropped, I think. So
yeah, because you guys got him smashed out of his mind. He woke up not knowing what zip code he was in. It's like I don't know what to do.
Getting your opponents drunk is a legitimate tactic.
The boys use it often, so don't forget that. So we got an Adepticon story. Sean, what is yours?
All right, well, I'll go with one at Adepticon too. I remember it was like one of the first years or one of the first games. We roll up and it's I forget what it is. It's Chris and I, and I think it was I forget who the other two were, but we roll up against this team that they were up and comers at the time. They were all right. Some kind of kamikazes or something or other. So, and it's
I was wondering where he's going
because of the random pairing. So I remember so there was like these 2 really good guys on the kamikazes were playing together against our 2 weaker links, and Chris and I got to face against Well, I guess it was a police officer, so that was really
Is
props to
Mr.
him.
Tony Malave
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And Tyler.
and Tyler
Which
Cooley.
actually, I guess I won't share that story about Tyler and Alan when they came to Du Bois.
That's a good
actually,
story.
That was a good story.
That's a good story.
But no, I remember that just happened, and we had no rights winning that game. But we just, they were playing at that point. They were playing the Demons when it was the Screamer Star, and we were playing a mishmash of Inquisition, right? Like I had a Land Raider Redeemer and stuff like that, and we were outclassed. But I just remember you being very disappointed in that they weren't a little more aggressive with their Screamer Star.
Yeah, they kind of just sat back in their corners. Like they didn't even get drunk and have fun. See, like if they got drunk and had fun, I'd be happy with the story.
Fools.
They sat in a corner and lost. So yeah, I was pretty upset with them after that game. But that was a good round though, for sure. And the story of when we came to Rochester is definitely a better story. But we'll save that for another cast.
So Tyler and Alan, real quick. Tyler and Alan stayed over, and it was a Sunday night. So they go, well, let's go. Where can we go eat? Where's a good place to eat? So I go send them to this Dinosaur Barbecue, which is it's a good restaurant in the area. And so I go and I meet up with them, and I'm exhausted. I was on the couch falling asleep. I go, no, I gotta get up and go. And we started imbibing a little bit, and I didn't realize Tyler didn't drink all that much, but we ended up at another place afterwards. Where which
another what kind of another place?
Another place. But I went ahead and while Tyler was doing shots, I was doing Coke and water. Like I get a shot of a shot of water with a little splash of Coke in it, and a shot of whiskey for him. And
he got him so messed up.
I go to pick him up the next morning, take him to the airport. And I'm driving. He's in the back seat of my car. Alan's in the front, and I just look back and oh my goodness, the look on his face. And as he's getting out of the car at the airport, I could tell he threw up in his mouth and had to swallow it back down. So
I don't think he drank for like a year after that. By the way, like a straight solid year, he didn't touch alcohol. Maybe longer. I don't even know. So that was a good time. I have also a story for the boys that I don't know if I told you guys. I might have, and it's a quick one. My first year there, where you guys did the auction, somebody won the auction, like the first ticket, right? And the first ticket has all the best stuff. I don't know if you guys remember this, but the guy went up and took the banana that was on the table that wasn't a part of the auction. It's just someone left a banana. And he came up and he took the banana, he peeled it, and he started eating it. That was probably one of my most favorite moments in a tournament. I don't know who that guy was. I can't remember. But
there was a story.
It was awesome.
Because in years previous, someone had put a banana up there, and we go, hey, there's a banana. It was the last thing that someone took, and sure enough, it was a guy from Canada. And he went up and he grabbed it, and everybody said, eat it, eat it, eat it. And sure enough, he did. So then we had to throw a banana on afterwards.
Yeah, but then the guy who got it first actually took it. That was the best part.
Yeah.
That was the best part. Oh man!
You won your award. You had to come up and do a shot. And
you guys have historically done awesome.
I still have my Du Bois.
You guys have done awesome awards. Awesome awards.
That was the best. If you won the tournament, you brought your big Du Bois mug. The next year, you drank for free.
I got all my mugs back there.
I brought that. I did think I thought one year I was going to win the team tournament, but then what happened is I got too drunk and I woke up later at the back seat of a Ponderosa with "Don't Punch" written on my hand in girls' handwriting. So instead of winning the team tournament, apparently you guys threw me in a car and went take him literally anywhere but here.
I think I remember that. Yeah.
I just went. What? All I remember is rolling dice, and then I woke up and it's just dark, and I'm in the backseat of a car, and I'm like, "Don't punch! What happened?"
You started hurting people, Brad. We had to subside you.
I had a memento thing where I had clues on me apparently of what's going on.
You also slept in a stairwell. That same night.
That's because Bill Kim is dying, and he basically is a Tyrannosaurus.
Bill Kim's snoring is legendary. He's got a CPAP machine for his CPAP machine.
He seriously snored so loud, I thought he was fucking with me. I literally thought he was just making noises to screw around, and then he just kept on. And I took an air mattress, and you know how the old ones at the resort, had the
slept on the
the downstairs and the upstairs, and the stairway connected them between the two different cabins. I just slept in the stairway. I just threw down there and I was just laying on it because I just come and I couldn't deal with that. I'd been out too late. And people are just the downstairs, guys that had read it that are just like walking past on the stairway, just like, is that a homeless guy here? Like, what's happening? Like, why is he here?
Yeah, that was a funny
We took a
time.
recording of Bill.
I just threw stuff at you.
Out of control. It's
Hoban was like that too.
Hoban snores too, man. You're so right.
But you kind of caused that, Courtney, when you did that jinx save on him.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah.
There was one time we were out drinking in Geneseo, or we're outside, and it's like 2:30 in the morning, and we're going home, and they're messing around, and Hoban goes to grab Chris or whatever, and Chris jumped out of the way, did his jinx save, and Hoban slipped on the ice and fell and broke his nose.
Oh, jeez.
You have caused that.
But he stands up and there's like blood ripping. I mean,
Just
like streaks down
everywhere.
and there's two cops there. He starts pointing at me. He's like, "He hit me, he pushed me down." He saw the whole thing.
Yeah, but you're good. You're cool. You're cool with the cops though. They know you.
Sean had to go back the next day. There's like a big ice puddle. Remember, it was all blood.
Yeah, a big red piece of ice puddle.
Oh, he was spitting blood out like mad. It was great.
It was great. It was great, by the way. Just
All I did was
FYI.
sidestep them. Those big guys, they can't change direction quick.
That's good.
Sure.
So I don't know where Andrew is, but he can handle this. I'll leave this here.
Sure.
Let's just randomly listen to Sean.
Sure. Sorry, I'm on a Skype call. So no problem. Thanks, Steve.
I don't want you to have an accident in your house.
No problem. Appreciate it. Thanks.
I don't know what you just
So,
got.
yeah,
You want
apparently-
to share with the rest of the class.
Yeah, no, apparently my wife found that apparently we may have a mouse in the house. So, and of course that's concerning to her. So the neighbor was gracious enough to allow us to borrow her cat for all that to try to hunt it down.
You should let Sean. You should let your neighbor know that you're really good with small things, and you could find this mouse.
Love it.
Yeah, I've been playing with miniatures a long time.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised nobody told the tape measure story with Sean or when he got on top of the table. I was expecting more, but we'll save them for other podcasts, I guess. We'll have to have you guys on again.
I got like 5 more we can probably go with too. So.
Yeah.
Most of them involve Kemp in one way and drinking.
I mean, Courtney, challenge right now. Give me a solid, awesome story with Sean that does not involve drinking in any way.
Is that a real thing?
Look at Courtney try.
Why should it be
Look
that
at
way?
Courtney try.
I'm very disappointed if it is.
I would be mad. I would be upset. I would be upset if you have one.
I got one for you, but you're only going to understand this if you played old editions.
I did.
He used to hate Bahalroth, and Bahalroth had this.
Why? Because he had invisibility?
No.
Oh.
Phoenix Lord.
Oh, that guy.
And I could go into a squad of Marines and he'd get like 5 hits, and he'd hit. I think he hit on 2s or 3s, and every hit generated another.
2s, and everyone generated another one.
And I would go into a squad of orcs and kill all 30 of them with one guy. And Sean used to get so fuming with it, and he hated them. So one time, Bahalroth's standing there in the middle of nowhere, and Sean's got a squad of Khorne berserkers who back in the day had a rule saying you have to assault if you can, right? So this son of a bitch shoots, rapid fires his bolt pistol so he can't assault me. and I remember he did it, and then like a minute later, he totally whiffed, and I went in and wiped out that unit anyways. And something else happened too. He ended up picking up a handful of juggernauts of Khorne, and they were all those metal models. Because I rolled like all 6s and he rolled all 1s. He picked them up and did a full arm sweep and just smashed them on the table. Because I don't know if you know, he's got a little math, autism where you can rattle off a bunch of numbers to Sean and he'll figure out the probabilities in his head. And he likes to do that when we play, and he doesn't understand that I got some extra luck up my ass. And it's happened 2 or 3 times, but I got him to actually smash models and rapid fire pistols in that game.
Wow, I've never seen Sean even a little bit upset. The only time I ever saw Sean worried was when I think he nut tapped me once, and I didn't know it was Sean, so I was really mad. And then I turned around and I was still mad. So then Sean was like, "Ooh, he's not. He's actually mad." And then I was like, "Oh, it's Sean."
I tend to do that.
And then I was fine.
You guys know Nate from Canada?
Yeah.
Big Nate?
Yeah.
So one Adepticon, I was just going up. I was just punching him just for fun. So now and he did. He just kind of grabbed me and just put me up against the wall, and I'm sitting there giggling because I was very drunk. So now the story is I always bring it up to the Canadian guys. I go, geez, I feel bad that I hope I didn't hurt Nate too bad when I was hitting him that one time. So that's the big joke with them. So anyway.
That was alcohol.
Yeah. Nate. For people that don't know Nate, Nate's like he's like the gentle giant. He's he's probably almost 7 feet.
They bring some big dudes from Canada, by the way.
Where do they find those guys in Canada? They look like they're mountaineers.
4 to 6 dudes that are all like 6'5".
All their dads are lumberjacks. That's why.
and for Brad, they're just giants. Like Brad can't even comprehend how large they are. It's crazy.
Well, apparently, when I got kicked out, when I woke up with the don't punch, apparently I had challenged Canada, not just those guys, the whole country to a fight.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would destroy you. Courtney, you would have really appreciated Kemp over in Europe, by the way. When he came with us to Poland, man, he was the life of the party. And it was hilarious how like he would just find his way home somehow. It's like 3:30 in the morning and he's just like, and I'm too drunk to be outside, guys. See you later. And everyone else is super drunk. We're like, where's Sean going? And he just gets home.
Best party times of all time. Team America didn't perform very well in the games, but we definitely outdrank all other countries. Like, not even close. We were number one there.
Sean and I's goal for the last couple of Adepticons is outdrink our opponents. Winning is a side note. If we can do it, all right.
Yeah, man. It's all about community and about fun. And Sean brought the fun to Poland for sure. Like, we were by far the best team. And remember how hot it was, Sean? In that stupid
under
tent?
that tent. Yeah.
Oh.
It was kind of like almost like the first ATC.
Yeah, in the hangar with all the issues they had.
Did you guys go to that?
Yeah. Remember. It and I played. We played against each other at that first ATC event.
Did we?
Yeah, because remember you said you were playing Eldar and you go, it was down to Alan and the one other guy, and putting me up. And
that's
go, I can't. I don't have that many bullets. You said when you're talking about
wouldn't
Alan's
take me on. He threw. I remember that because I used to throw me out first. That's when I actually brought. It was Deal Tan. My army list was an Avatar and all 8 aspect.
Yeah.
Fire list.
I think so.
And I remember nobody knew what to do against it. They throw me out there first every game, and I called out Sparks, and he wouldn't do it. I think Bill Kim got thrown at with all his demon. And I've only played Sparks once, and then
ATC was a good time. That was a very hot year too, by the way.
Hey, I just remember the last game I'm playing against. It was Twitch. He goes by. I forget his real name, but he's a larger guy, and he had on a light gray shirt. And as the game went on, it kept getting darker and darker.
Oh yeah,
he's just sweating in his shirt, dude.
We were sweating like pigs. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. That's so good.
That was a good time. That was
Yeah.
That was a fun turn, but it was balls hot.
So any closing thoughts, guys? We told some stories. Anything else you guys want to talk about? 9th, next games? What are you guys playing? What are you guys looking to play? I know. I heard from you, Sean. You're playing Orcs. I don't know what Courtney's playing.
Well, I did Chaos the first game. We're trying different armies. I think the next one I'm going to be trying breaking out my Death Guard is what Chris said to try that. And
I want to see how the durability holds up. So you were talking about that, like the actual sitting on objectives type stuff, and it seems like the army to take in 9th.
You have reached stage 3. Welcome.
Yeah, I know. We know about the stages. Well, I'm going to skip right to stage 4 and start putting a ton of stuff in reserve. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
No, it sounds good.
Yeah. So I try to bring something different every time. We have between the two of us, we have so many armies.
What'd you play last time, Courtney?
I played Guard led by I'm doing the Inquisition, so I have all my stuff's painted the same, all my Imperial stuff. So I always try to bring an Inquisitor leading some kind of army. And so I brought an Inquisitor leading Guard, but it was one of everything Guard. I brought a 30-man squad of conscripts to try them, stuff like that. We brought 150 points each.
That sounds awesome. You guys are getting in some quality stuff. You guys are definitely trying out a lot of stuff. That's good. I recommend doing it that way, figuring out like what works based off of erasing everything you thought you knew and just starting again from models you have.
100%. Yeah, that is 100%. Just put whatever on the board because no one knows. No one can say what the hell is good right this second because nobody knows. It's new missions, new edition, new everything.
Yeah, and I think the 2-wound Marine stuff's really going to shake things up, make things really cool for Chaos, by the way. I think
the
Corn
weapons are
Berserkers
a
and
bigger
Noise
thing,
Marines.
man. I still think that.
You think what?
I think that the 12-inch flamers, so you can come in deep strike and flame people, is huge. And then things like multi-meltas and heavy bolters doing extra damage.
No,
and shit like
the
that.
weapons.
I think that those are huge.
Of course, the weapon stuff is big, but 2-wound Corn Berserkers, 2-wound Noise Marines. That's just like awesome.
It just depends.
That's just
Obviously, what they're pointed at, but yeah.
Right.
I think the flamers are so huge, man. Because like the flamers were like the redheaded stepchild, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be curious to see what else they give it to besides just the flamer and heavy flamer. If a lot of the other flame weapons get it, things are considered like flamer weapons because there's a ton of them.
I hope they all get it, tell you the truth, because I think that those weapons are just have so much tactical flexibility, things you can put in reserve and come out and do. You know what I mean? You have lots of cool interactions. That is like 1,000% just my opinion on that. But I'd love to see all of those flamer type weapons get the 12 inches so that they can do something. When you come out, you don't just stand there.
I would love Burnos. I would love Burnos to go to 12. What'd you say, Courtney?
Didn't Heavy Bolter go to 1 shot though?
We're not sure on that. They had the one thing was a leak. The actual Warhammer community thing was talking about just that they didn't say anything else. They just said the 2 damage.
Okay.
So I don't know. We don't know on that.
I picture a Heavy Bolter just sitting there, and
it should be super rapid fire, like small strength, high fire output.
Yeah,
and like longer range would be cool.
3 shots.
Yeah,
it'd be like more. The Marine with a Heavy Bolter is such an iconic. I mean, it's on like remember the old T-shirts. Every T-shirt had a Dark Angels Marine.
Just guys just sit there.
When was the last time you saw one on the table?
Never.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
I when between 8th and 9th, I finished my Death Watch army, and man, I'm so happy those guys going to 2 wounds because they need it. So.
They're gonna be awesome, veterans and stuff, and Death Watch is gonna be super cool.
I think veterans are crazy good, man.
Crazy good.
With 2 wounds, they'll be super good.
Yeah, I told Malave to like dust his off because they're all dusty on a shelf, and like get those guys ready because if we have an event here, we should bring them.
Yeah,
so, and 1 wound Marines just go away too easy.
Sean and I we played that when we were playing my AdMac. I mean, he had a couple of squad of berserkers, and I said to him while we weren't playing him, doesn't it feel weird taking these guys off with 1 wound? When every other Marine player out there is, Primaris Marines, you have to whittle them away. And it just felt odd compared to the other Marine players out there. So,
yeah, I could definitally see that.
100%.
I think we should add a new caveat to the missions too. And, that 10 points for painting, I think we would nerf 10 points on there if you're not playing Marines.
Whoa.
Hey, what?
10 points, not Marines.
Settle down.
Check.
You're gonna make me don't make me change my bandwagon army. I'm ready at all times.
Brad's like 10 points won't hurt me.
The only reason I own so many models is just so I can jump ship so often.
No, I love it. I think Courtney, I think Necrons are going to be just as strong when they come out, by the way. We'll see when the Codex comes out. We can do another podcast then and get your guys' reaction in a couple months and see where you guys are. See how you've come through the stages of 9th edition.
Necrons are the army I'm doing next.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good
choice.
Sean's like the older version of me. He's just better in every way, more mature. He's got his stuff figured out, making the same armies, liking the same things. I don't know what's going on with this guy. So, but hey, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. I know you guys are busy with family and stuff. We really appreciate you guys taking the time today. We went over a little bit from what I told you guys we would do, so I appreciate you guys sticking on.